We are recording. Welcome to this interview, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bryce Tubbs. With me today is Amy Greenfield. She is a meditation, mindset, and holistic health coach. She's doing some amazing things in the field of burnout reduction, benefits of meditation, and a lot of really cool and interesting health hacks that you guys can use today. And we're going to be sharing some of those on the video. Is there anything you'd like me to add, Amy?
That sounds good. I do meditation, coaching, life health coaching, Reiki also. Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. So just for the people watching, my camera's up here, my computer's down here, so my eye contact's going to be all over the place. But to Amy, what was life like before coaching?
That is a good question. I actually am someone who I've always been into working with people and helping people. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people have. But I did not pursue a career in this. I was interested in health and nutrition and wellness, and I pursued a degree in that, and I did not follow through with it. I ended up working with kids, helping people, and I loved working with kids. And through that process of, coming and lots of health issues that came my way that I'd never experienced, even having a background in knowledge, even having a background in nutrition and not being able to figure things out, I kind of had to look at all areas of my life and really use spirituality, meditation, all of these different modalities as a tool and listen to what was in my heart and all this stuff. And from there, I really decided that I wanted to help other people work through the same things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can I ask you, so what was the first thing that you changed to kind of reverse that?
Yeah, so one reason that I'm so passionate about meditation is I think for me that was the biggest game changer. Like I said, at the time I was considered by the people around me very healthy. I knew everything about nutrition. I could, exercise, all of these things, but I was a mess. And I don't know exactly how to explain a mess, but meaning, chronic kind of health conditions happening and all of this stuff. And meditation for me was the game changer. Through discovering that and making it a daily practice, I shifted everything in my life from, work relationships would improve. My health issues really resolved, and it kind of just gave me the confidence and the clarity to see where I was in my life and know oh, you don't have to be doing this. And, these things are your choice. So it really just gave me self-awareness, clarity, and confidence to go out and, make my life what I wanted it to be.
So can you talk a little bit about clarity? What are the benefits of clarity? Why is it so important to get clear on everything?
Right. I think awareness and clarity, awareness really, I would say, is the key to so much. When you can kind of see what you're doing, kind of get a different perspective on a situation, kind of like a bird's eye view of things, you can just, with that awareness, you have the ability to change things. You have the ability to, transform something once you're aware of it. If you're not aware of kind of a not great habit that you have, or, how, just things can feel stuck, and you're kind of stuck in a situation until you can see what's actually going on and see, a bird's eye view of a situation or of a pattern. And so with that comes change and transformation if it's something's going on and it's not what you'd like it to be.
So then okay, so you were able to change. You were your first student. So once you're aware, what are those things that you start to do? Do you start looking for coaches? Do you start looking for videos on YouTube? Do you Google? How do you start making that change once you're aware of it?
Right. So I think honestly, awareness bleeds into being able to make a change if it's something that you want to change. For instance, if it's just becoming aware that, and you're talking about for someone else who's coming to a coach? Is that the question?
I don't know. I just like a lot of people, they might be aware they have a problem, but what's the next step?
Right. So I think once you're aware, then exactly, you can do something about it. So it's figuring out, it's saying, maybe just asking your, inner wisdom or something like, please, give me help with this, or, how can I find the solution? And I think once you start knowing something is not right and you're looking for a change, the answers kind of start showing up for you. And that might be connecting with a mentor, or connecting with a coach, or just having an epiphany, like, I don't want to do this anymore. And, saying something to your boss, or, being in a relationship. Like, those are big things, but it could even be just like a chronic kind of bad habit you have. Like, I don't really want to be, having a drink every night, or, I'm like, why am I doing this? Or, I don't really like my temper in this situation. Yeah. So,
So are those
did I answer? What was the?
you did answer the question, actually. Yeah. So those like most of the symptoms that you see when people start, noticing that they need you, or what are the main symptoms / problems people are experiencing right before they start working with you?
Okay. So a couple things. So one, because I teach meditation, a lot of it is like, there's so much buzz these days around meditation, and there are so many benefits, like, and it's really just like since, 2009 and 2012 that like science has caught up with like what's been known for thousands and thousands of years across, stemming from all different areas of the world, and these ancient traditions. So science is catching up and shows, that you can grow gray matter in these different regions of the brain, like, that are connected to, attention, memory, spatial awareness, executive functioning. And you can actually shrink your amygdala, the fight flight center of the brain. And so science shows that. Science shows you can actually reverse cognitive declining, by shortening or lengthening your telomeres, which is like, meditation is actually the only way that's been shown to do that. That's kind of new research. And yeah, so from lowering your blood pressure to breaking addictions, all these things now kind of people know, but they're like, kind of like, how do I do that? And what is meditation? And like, am I doing it right? And this isn't fun. So one, a lot of people come to me just to help kind of jumpstart that routine. And usually it's for an underlying reason. Maybe they say that like, oh, they heard it was really good and maybe it'll help them at work. Or, I'm really stressed, or, I'm having trouble sleeping. So stress and sleep, I think, are two main reasons. And then just wanting to kind of grow and be better. And then, yeah, and so people come like kind of using the guise of like, I want to learn to meditate. And maybe it is just that. But usually there's some underlying, I would say not usually so blatant to them, like reason, like, well, why is it that you're having trouble sleeping? Like, what is it that's actually stressing you out? So we kind of go kind of like 360 and like, yes, let's get you meditating. And like, this is actually like, I can vouch that it's like the crux of like what can transform everything. But then with that, and gaining more awareness through meditating, you can really go into all these different areas of your life and see where tweaks need to be made, see where you need to manage your time better and set more boundaries for yourself, see where you get to really take back control of your life and how you live it. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And so let me ask you this, then who do you like to work with?
I like to work with people that are wanting to improve themselves. And yeah, like, I think it comes down to like people being in a place where they're like, this is not working for me anymore and I need to do something about it. Or people saying things are okay, but I know there's more. I know it could be better. Like, so I'm not really looking to work with someone who's like totally like, falling apart and like, woe is me and it's not in my power to change it and all these things outside are gonna do it for me. Or like, kind of like, yeah, like I want to help people that are like trying to take things into their hands and improve.
Yeah, it's never fun when you have to work with a client in crisis, because then they need things to work and then they're all stressed out. I'm like, you're kind of the anti-stressor, but if they're making themselves be stressed out even more, it's just
Well, no, but places, I think that feeling is part of all of our lives, and we're all going to go through that. And I definitely can love working with people through that. But at the end of the day, they have to want more and better, not, I think realistically, people aren't going to be reaching out if they're not in that place. But I'm not trying to go after people that are, down and not looking to get out of that place. I'm going to be here as a resource for people that are reaching up and realize that we're actually not meant. And this was something, when I talk about why I became a coach, I didn't say that earlier on, but one reason that I believe so much in coaching and why I'm a coach is because, and I actually forgot to mention through this time, when I was meditating through my, through the health issues that I had in my previous career and trying to make it all work, yes, the meditation gave me clarity, hey, even though you went to grad school for 3 years for this, and it was already a career change at that point, you don't have, no one's forcing you to be here. This is your choice. And having a coach at that time helped me so much to really embody that and really understand it and have, just another, support that said, this is possible for you, and to help me kind of see the way. I think coaching, and I think what I was saying before is people that are ready to receive support and receive. I was not someone who received. I tried to do everything myself. And so this is one of my first times doing video. So sorry that I'm all over the place, but to some of your other questions, maybe they come together now. In that I might have lost my train of thought, but people that are wanting to receive support, I help people that really kind of have been type A, overachievers, burnout, doing things all on their own and thinking that was the only way. And when they're kind of at a place where I give up, I can't do this all on my own. And it's I want to get the message across. You're not supposed to, you're not meant to. And that was a lesson that I had to learn the hard way. And I think some people learn it the hard way, that we are social creatures by nature, having, it's, you need to welcome support, guidance, someone to lean on, someone to lift you up, someone to guide you. You don't have to do it all yourself, and you can't, especially then when you get yourself into these situations where things aren't working and you're low energy or you're stressed out or you feel like shit all the time, or whatever it is, you're not going to get out of it yourself. You might have got into it yourself.
I mean, that's a very good point. It's because if you knew how to get out of it, then you'd already be out of it. It wouldn't be that. It's always interesting for people who either don't utilize coaching or have a trouble reaching out to it. I was having a conversation yesterday. It's a little bit of ego bound, it's a little bit of fear-based energy where it's they want to be able to say that they've done it all themselves, and they don't want to admit that they're weak and that maybe they need someone to help them get over their problems and stuff. So it's very interesting to hear you kind of talk about that. What are some of the main causes of burnout and stress that maybe most people would not think about?
Right. Well, yeah. So definitely want to answer that. And also to your last point, it can be scary if you've never done that before and you don't think it's an option and you don't think you're worth that in many ways, especially in that situation. Yeah. So some of the causes of burnout and stress that maybe people don't think about. And I know, and looking back, it was true for me, even though for example, I was so passionate and loved so much about the work that I was doing before. I was an early childhood teacher. I worked with 4 and 5-year-olds. Everything about working with kids is lights me up. There's nothing like it, but there was also many pieces of that was just so misaligned with my values and things like that. So I think a huge thing is when you're in alignment with you and what you actually want to be doing and what's in your heart and what your values are, and things that just don't align, where either you've never thought about that before in that, recognized it in that way, or, empowered yourself, I think honestly, when things are out of alignment, and was like, so two examples for myself. One was being for me in a career where there were values that like different schools that I worked with that didn't align with me, and like my values for health and wellness and mindfulness, even I could bring that to the kids, but from the upper school structures, like that value was not shared for the staff. It was there for the kids. Everything was about the kids, but hey, like teachers are people too. And that wasn't there. And another thing for me was, or another piece of that for me was, I was living in New York City for a bunch of years. And I'm someone who like, I love and thrive around nature and green and the outdoors. And I also happen to love warm weather. And like, for me, that was out of alignment. Like I could try as hard as I could to make the best of the situation and, you know, work on my perspective and get a little plant. But knowing that like there's a setting that exists that's better for me, like I had to move to that place. Like knowing that you can you can change what you're doing, where you are, who you surround yourself with, and what your surroundings are. I think, and exactly back to that awareness piece, you need to become aware of that to do something about it. And, you know, you need to kind of also empower yourself and know that you can do that, because sometimes you don't see that as an option. You don't see that there's a way out. You're like, you know, there will always be excuses like, well, that would be expensive and I don't know about that place or that job and what will happen. And it's all fear really. And, you know, that keeps you stuck. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of when you get to a place where it's like, well, I can't do this anymore. And like, there, you know, either a breaking point or just, you know, moving through fear.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So then, you know, what is your vision for your business? What are you trying to get to? What do you want?
Right. So I really want to help empower people to kind of be able to heal whatever kind of is going on for them physically, mentally, emotionally, and not just heal, but really like thrive in every area of their life, and see that it's so possible. But there's, for so many reasons, we don't really believe that, or not for so many reasons. The reasons specifically are early on, and this is not because anyone's parents, I mean, maybe some parents are not the best, but it's not their fault. They just are themselves, and you were, you know, but basically you're born into this family, and everything you hear around you, see around you, observe around you, you're making meaning of the world, you know, from 0 to 6 based on all that. And once that's there, that's kind of your view of the world. So as you get older, until you can see that, like, hey, like maybe that was true in my household, but it doesn't have to be this way. You're stuck in that. And so I help, like, through meditation, really open people up to seeing what's possible and believing what's possible, and seeing what happens when they, you know, trust themselves and their own intuition, and create a life that is everything they want, and that they don't have to like work hard for and slave for, that a life where things flow to them. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You know, so let me ask you this. So everybody is talking about, you know, like childhood trauma and childhood different things that are causing people to suffer now. How do people break out of that, you know?
Okay, so I think that word trauma is like, yes, it's becoming a buzzword, but it's a really important word, and some people are embracing it, but also for a lot of people, it's like trauma. Hey, I don't have trauma, like, you know, unless it's something, you know, really substantial, like if it was, you know, sexual abuse or violence. Some people are like, yeah, but what we don't realize is that I think statistically it's like 3/4 of the population has some type of trauma, but I would say 100% of the population probably, because I guess in my, like, I define trauma as, you know, being in a situation where, you know, it's something is happening that's not what you want it to be. It's undesirable, and you're powerless to change it. It's like a situation where you become overwhelmed. Like for example, it could be something like me being in a job, or, you know, that maybe that's, in being in a situation where something is happening, it's happening to you, you don't like it, it's not good, and you can't stop it. And I think everyone has those experiences, whether it was like a sibling annoying you or whatever it is. But what happens is that situation gets stored, and it gets stored in your actual physical body. Like there's, a lot, this is kind of like getting like way, like a lot to go into in this talk, but trauma is stored in our body, and it's like these stuck emotions too, like things that we haven't processed. These things get stored in our body, and it's there until we release it. What was your question?
My chest, certain things will make like a certain muscle in my chest get really tight. So it's always fun. I can always tell when I need to go either take a vacation or something when that gets tight. So that's really interesting that you say that. You're the first people I talked about that.
Right. So that will definitely happen, but you have awareness that is happening. So that's great. Like you can see, oh, this thing is triggering this, and that's like that emotion. But the reason that that's there is kind of from something in that new trigger connects to something that way back when you were a little kid, it's reminding you of that thing that caused you to feel however you feel in this situation. But if you go on a vacation, great. But until you actually like sit with that feeling that you feel and be aware of it and not try to escape it, it's going to be there. So it's, this is where,
interesting. Let's do an exercise with that.
Emotions, but if we go like kind of just to level of emotions, like that's what it is. And like, this was fun working with young kids that I could teach them really early on. Like, when they're learning to like use their words and not their body, like usually they go to use their body in situations where, they have strong emotions. Maybe they're angry, maybe they're sad, but teaching kids early on to recognize like, I am feeling, and what kind of feeling do you have is in your body right now? Where do you feel it? And knowing like, oh, I have a sad feeling. And, we'd have them put their like, feeling stick in like the sad cup, and realize that later on that feeling is gone, and then they need to move it to the happy cup. But seeing that like these feelings or emotions, they come and go, but that we have to respect ourselves and feel them, and that they're not going to kill us. But if we don't feel them, if we run from them, or if we don't even know that they're happening, over time, like they don't go away. Basically, if you're not going to, either you could feel them and they're released, or you don't deal with them and they're stored in your body until you do.
That's interesting. So what are some quick tips to start dealing with those?
Yeah, so I think you mean just like
so for example, if someone in the audience has the same thing I have, what is the first thing they can do to sit with it?
So that's amazing. So I hope that, so if someone in the audience knows like, oh, I'm having like this feeling in my chest, just be with it. This is actually like, there's a type of meditation called Vipassana, which was, I just recently went on a 10-day retreat. It was like so insane. But basically like you're in this practice, it's a lot about equanimity, which means like not judging something as good or bad, just being with it and observing it. So that's what you're going to do. Is like an emotion, a feeling is going to last like 90 seconds really. So we think just noticing it and just observing it, being like this curious observer, being like, like, is it just in my throat, or is it also in the back of my neck? And like, what does it feel like? Is this like, is it a tight sensation? Just kind of being curious about the sensations really, and just being present with them is actually like an amazing exercise. And then I would say like another tool, if that's kind of more what you were asking, is like in a situation where you realize, wow, like, I'm getting really hot, I'm really angry, like using your breath. Your breath is like your most powerful tool. It's like the only thing that is both, consciously controlled by you and unconsciously happening from your body. So it's like kind of the bridge like to your inner world. And using your breath, you actually have the power to regulate your entire nervous system. So I would say taking a few long, slow, deep breaths in any moment where you realize you're having like kind of uncomfortable emotions. Because actually you'll realize if you're ever angry or anxious or worried, you'll notice your breath gets shorter, like, and, you know, shallower.
Mm-hmm.
So just tuning in, like, that like 3 times, you'll change your state and you'll like come back to balance, and be able to like become aware again of what's going on, like what triggered me, how am I feeling, and kind of get back into your body.
So let me wait. So I'm so confused. Oh shit, my water is spilling. So let me ask you this, like, right? So so if you're becoming friends with the thing, when does it go away?
So you become friends with it, and you kind of, so Vipassana meditation, like you kind of have to go with like the idea that, like, you know, you're welcoming it like just as like, you know, okay, this is just a welcomed visitor emotion. Or I don't know if I'm confusing feelings and emotions, but usually I would say within 90 seconds, probably some like a wave of a wave of like in the moment feeling will pass, or, you know, subside a little bit. But you go into it with the fact that like if it never goes away, that's okay. Like you learn to be with something uncomfortable, and this helps you in every area of your life, because things that are a little uncomfortable are going to come your way. This is actually like kind of like Buddhist in some way, like traditions and teachings. It's like the principle of equanimity, and it's helping you to manage like aversion and craving, which is pretty much like the cause of all suffering. Do you want me to go into that more?
I mean, you can. You talking about craving and
Yeah.
oh, actually, let's take a step back. What does success mean to you?
Yeah, so good question. And like to have craving on my mind. So success to me is not like, you know, the awards, the accolades, the any like end thing that you think you want that's going to bring you satisfaction. Success to me is, you know, learning every day to just find more joy, more ease, more flow in whatever is going on for me. Like, you know, the more that I can enjoy my life. And that doesn't mean because something great is happening. It's like, you know, learning to be with an uncomfortable situation and just, you know, seeing the value in it, seeing how this is, you know, making me aware of something that I need, that I can grow and learn from, or, you know, giving me a challenge to overcome. And, or if it's just, you know, really enjoyable, like, you know, so it's just, I think learning to, yeah, so it's just having a more full and joyful life by, you know.
So let me ask you this, right? So we're talking about like the tightness, right? And you're saying, and you know, to learn how to be to, you know, for lack of better terms, learn how to appreciate it, and it's never going to go away because it's teaching you how to deal with, you know, uncomfortable situations, right? But as we're kind of moving and growing, our uncomfortable situations are going to become more and more uncomfortable as we, you know, get higher and higher in life. So does that mean that, you know, the tension and stuff inside of our body is going to get tighter and tighter and tighter as we're dealing with bigger and bigger and bigger problems?
Okay, so this gets a little into the practice of Vipassana meditation, which would be like what on a big scale,
Uh,
how you kind of address all of this. But on a small scale, if it's just, you know, like maybe you got like a, I don't know, like what would be a situation that like you're like triggers a feeling for you that you're referring to?
so, for example, anytime in my business when I get angry at something, I know I'm going to go through a major transformation. It's generally a feeling of confusion. Why did this person not get a specific result that 5 other clients got? Why did this person decide to take off 5 days of the week instead of working as hard as what they could have? Why did this person not sign up for a call? Why did just
Right.
usually it's why?
So, okay, so a lot of things. So this is why meditation is so powerful, because, okay, so I'll do both. Okay, so meditation is so powerful because you'll be able to, you know, become aware of like I'm choosing actually to have these certain thoughts that then are triggering these emotions. These thoughts are making me think like, it's thoughts that are going to make me frustrated and think that like this person's doing something wrong and it's now affecting me. So it's, you're choosing those thoughts. It could be that you are then, from meditation, becoming more aware in those moments of being, able to change your thoughts and say, you know what, I'm going to trust that the universe has a different plan for me. This, either this is here to test my patience, or this definitely wasn't meant to work out, because I know that like when it does, it's going to be so much better. And if it worked out at this time, then that other thing wouldn't have come about. So it's like, that's one way, that you're changing it. But say it's just something, say there isn't even a thought that comes with it. Say it's just, for you, like this sounds like a frustration. Like for me, I'm thinking that might be like a tension in my head or something. Okay, so say you're not even having thoughts and it's just like I have this huge tension in my head, instead of being like, oh my God, like ow, and like running from it before you even get like give your chance to notice what's going on. Be like, I need to take an Advil, or I'm gonna have a drink, or like maybe I'm gonna have a piece of chocolate. Like this tension is bothering me. Instead of doing all those things, just to slow down. If it's really, really overwhelming, I would say use your breath. But I think just noticing and paying attention to like, I have this tension in my head right now. And like, what does it feel like? Oh, it's like a throbbing sensation. Literally just being with it. Mm-hmm. And what you'll notice is it's actually like, it's not so bad. Like you're not going to die. Like no one's stabbing you. Like by sitting with it, you just show that that you can do it, and be kind to that feeling, and just say, this is not permanent. I know that it's here right now. Maybe it will be here in 10 minutes, maybe it won't. Is it going to be here next week? Probably not. Like just knowing that like everything is temporary, so that sensation is going to pass, and it's not good or bad. It just is a sensation, and you can notice it and be with it, and that's it. And then you were saying, how does this help relate to other areas of life when these things are going to come up? It's like this is every area of life. Everything outside you that kind of makes you feel anyway, it's because you think it's like, oh, it's okay. So with either your eyes, your ears, your mouth, all your 5 senses, or 6 senses really, like if you take into account like your awareness, like whatever, or your mind, like however your thoughts, I guess, the things whether it's a thought, whether it's something you see, those things are either going to cause something that as of now you're classifying as like good or bad, and it's going to register on your body as something that's to you uncomfortable or comfortable, pleasure or pain. And then that's why you usually, like we're programmed, we're going to want more of the stuff that feels good and want less of the stuff that doesn't feel good. But what happens is the stuff that feels good, it's going to go away and you're going to be let down. And the stuff that feels bad, that you don't want to feel bad, it doesn't feel good. So from practicing to not say this is good or this is bad, just like, this is a sensation, that's a sensation. I'm not going to get too attached to this really good feeling, because it's not going to be here forever, and it's going to be worse. And I'm not going to like try and run screaming from this other sensation, because it's going to pass and it's just sensation. Like when you train yourself and practice becoming more even with it, like you can do that with, any and everything like outside your worlds, because it really only is. It's all about how it makes you feel in your body. You just don't you're just usually not slowed down to recognize that's what's happening. It's happening like too quickly, and it's at the subconscious level, really.
Okay, that's kind of interesting, kind of cool. That's always the hardest thing for me is those kind of topics where it's like talking about inner world versus outer world kind of thing. Because for me, it's all everything that I have to do is like based on results, right? If people don't get results around me, they call me, hey, why is my thing not working? Why is this? And I'm like, oh, it's interesting, having to balance.
Right. And why do you think it is that you want results?
So I can get testimonials, so people's lives can be changed, so people don't have to go work a job, so people Don't have to be doing part-time jobs.
So, but you want to be helping. Is that it? Like,
No, I want them to win. What?
Right. But then why? Because how does that make you feel?
It's more of the alternative. I don't want my reputation to be bad due to people not getting good results.
So it's out of like fear almost rather than
Worse.
right. So I think right. So we're always going to be right. So but at the end of the day, like a lot of things, it's like it's motivated by how we want to feel or how we don't want to feel, and it just creates. It's not saying that like if you are not so attached to feeling or not feeling one way that like, oh, you're going to have no goals and you're going to sit and do nothing. It just makes it so that you're not you can come from a more balanced place so that, when you're, reaching for a goal or something like if it doesn't work out, your level head, you're not going to be like a total mess and fall on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And your life is ruined. It's like, this didn't work. Okay, so like let's, now I can consciously think about like what's my next plan or what's a different strategy to get there. And like in the meantime, you're still totally balanced. Your life is, you still are feeling good and everything. So you can still like have your kind of like you can still use your values and do what you want to do. And it doesn't mean like you're gonna go and say like, I want to feel, not care about pain. So like, let's go and like do something that's going to like hurt my body. Like it's not that either. It's like, doesn't mean that you have to now be like, oh, it doesn't hurt when, someone hits me. So, it's just saying that, if that ever happened, like you stub your toe, you can be like, rather than like, I think this is from like Louise Hay. It's like, she says like, oh, she once cut her finger instead of like, and she just used the analogy like, oh, there's a lot of sensation in my finger right now, which is exactly tying back to Vipassana. Like you're going to just make it easier for yourself if you don't like catastrophize the situations. And like, if that's down to your core, down to the subconscious level, you're practiced at being more balanced with things.
Okay. That's interesting. So, where can people find out more about you?
So I have an Instagram handle at Amy, A-M-Y, Lauren, L-A-U-R-E-N, Green, G-R-E-E-N, and Amy Lauren Greenfield on Facebook, and Amy Lauren Greenfield on LinkedIn.
Nice. Excellent. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me. I really appreciate, your insight. I'm sure I'm going to be able to take a lot of tips away from this when I watch the replay. Hopefully audience, I'm pretty sure the audience got a lot out of this. Thanks so much once again. And to the audience, if you would like more content interviews just like these, I recommend you go and join my group called Uncapped Growth Strategies. As the name suggests, we give you everything that you need to move forward in your business towards the life that I believe you deserve, whether it's strategies, free training, live interviews, or pre-recorded interviews just like this that are going to help you move towards your goals. If that's something you're interested in, I recommend you go check out the link in the description below, as well as hit that share button. Have a great day, guys. Thanks so much. Thanks, Amy. And done recording 3, 2, 1.